the roof is removed, you're evicted. If you're late by a few days. But this is someone who has not paid rent for 12 years. And yet we want services from the county. And so the procedures of giving notice, etc., have been done. In fact, the tenant is not the gentleman here. The tenant must be your dad. Is your dad Mr. Elijah? Simon. The tenant on record is Elijah Atembe. Who is that?
That's my uncle.
That's your uncle. That is our tenant. And he's the one who gets the notice, not you or anybody else. Normally in these estates, Chair, and I'll tell you because I've lived in these places, we have tenants from the 70s or 60s, but the card keeps being passed on to a nephew, to a niece. It stays in the family. Chair, when we did this process, and I must say that it was a very difficult thing for me to do, having grown up in this city. But I'm the governor who you are the same people who want services from. If you see trash out here, I'm in trouble. I must collect revenue to maintain those same houses. So after this process, which followed all the, and my director will explain the CCTC, all the procedures, default rates have gone down. We have estates with zero default now. Revenue in this sector has gone up by 250%. Those houses don't belong to any individual, or to me even. They belong to, not the tenants, but to 7 million Nairobians. There is somebody who is struggling and diligent enough to pay rent of 2,000 in a slum. He would be happy to come and pay 9,000 in a two-bedroom house. But when you deny us that rent, and use politics, because many times it's political. So whether it is the MCAs or MPs say, no, at one was it or etc., I think it is not the right thing. On the matter of the people who were involved, yeah, first of all, I do not, I don't know how you can name somebody as a goon or not. You know, I don't know. Is it how they look? Debt collection is never a walk in the park. I've never seen friendly auctioneers. But where human rights have been violated on behalf of the county, I apologize. It is not right. But remember also, by not paying, you're violating the rights of other citizens to get services. So, Chair, I formed a committee, you know, and Chair, you know, I have many staff. I have 19,000 staff of different shades. I am one person. Some may go overboard, which is not right. Of course, the buck stops with me, but 19,000 people, you can imagine. They know what our aim is. Chair, you know what the county has been struggling with. When I got it, my revenue was at 8-9 billion. I've raised it by more than 50% to 14 billion because I need to serve you people, yourselves included. Chair, if the, you know, when I formed that committee, they went and did a reconciliation together with the MCA and Chegemora was there. There are those who they said, okay, Governor, here we cannot. If it's 900,000, in fact, I said anybody above 150,000, even if you give them a payment plan, they will not pay. But those, many of them have agreed on a payment plan. They have come, they pay slowly. We accept. It is not our aim. Those houses are not for profit. Imagine a house in Woodley, 3 bedrooms on half an acre, 17,000 shillings rent, half an acre property. If it was a market value, it would be 250,000 rent. But you find somebody 17,000 per month on a 3 bedroom has put an extension where he has tenants paying him 50,000 and has not paid us for 10 years. Should we smile with them? What do we do? I'll wait for the guidance of the committee. But the procedures were followed, and the response is here. This revenue is coming in to help you yourselves. If you look at the rents, we charge people 5,000 for 3 bedrooms. The estates where it's 10,000 for a maisonette. A maisonette in 2026, 10,000 in Buruburu. That's why I put it under social services. It's really a social service. It is not for profit. But people must pay their rent. And if you're not able to pay your rent, you come up with a payment plan. If you're not able to do that, you must leave that house. That house does not belong to you. It doesn't belong to me. It is for the people of Nairobi. Somebody who is deserving can come in there and pay rent. So that I put medicine in hospitals, or at least now we have FIF. But I can use it to clean the city, to do roads. It is the same people who cry about the potholes. So you can't have your cake and eat it, Chair, unfortunately. On behalf of the county, for those whose rights are violated, I apologize. Because it is the last resort. We do not want to use force against our people. Those are not only my voters, they are my neighbors. I grew up in Mangara, you know. I have relatives, even I can list here, who have been evicted. Because those are my relatives, not parents. I have relatives of former prominent people I will not name, who used to live in these estates. Yeah? From Jerusalem to Ziwani, you know, all of these freedom fighters. I pay rent for them, I help them myself because of the legacy. Tomboya's house is still there. Jaramogi's house is still there. You know, Tujasio's house is still there. But you can only do so much there. You know, so my appeal is let's all do our part. You know, you cannot demand services, you cannot demand, you know, to be provided for, you know, all of these things, and yet stay without pay. Chair, at some point there had been a waiver that was issued by the former governor, but it was issued unprocedurally. After this committee, I even accepted that waiver. I said it's okay, let's say that waiver was there. Then what is the default after the waiver? But going months and years without paying rent, I don't know how you guide the chair on how to do it. So the response is here. I have listed the example for Old Ngara, which is just one. I have more than how many estates? 34, 34 estates. Yeah. So this is just an example. The top arrears, number 13, is 1.4 million. 11 tenants were evicted on the 14th of May. The court order came on the 30th of May. So it was a functus official. The eviction had already been done. Impounded items were ferried to the Goretti Pound, a facility run by the county. Tenants who cleared their rent arrears were given their property to be able to claim them. So the question of compensation does not arise. If anything, we should auction that property to get our rent. If anything, but also we must be kind people. You know, there's a lady I will tell you, the family of let me not say because of privacy. In Jamhuri Estate, who looking at a situation, we just opted to help her relocate to the village and paid for her, bought her transport to go back because she cannot afford to stay in the city without rent. Even if you clear the arrears, it will be another arrears in 12 months. There are many specific cases I have personally intervened, and as I've said, I pay rent for some of these people. Chair, the evicted tenants were allowed to clear outstanding arrears before further action was taken, and it is not the first time. No one can say they don't know the arrears. The message, the monthly invoice comes to their phones, isn't it? On SMS. Everyone in our record. But the people on our record are the tenants, the tenant on file. Not just that you're staying there, but you're the person in our record. Chair, I think maybe I can leave it at that for any questions. At a meeting in 2nd December, Chair, it was resolved that we enter into more plans with defaulters owing less than 100K. And those above 100K were again eligible for eviction, not 150, actually, it's 100,000. Also, kindly note, Chair, kindly note, I think this is an important point. Whereas rent defaulters complain about evictions, there is a group of tenants who are compliant, who pay rent on time. We must have equity and fairness. The person who is paying rent is disenfranchised, but that was not paying. We have to maintain those houses. We need to paint the place. We need to make sure there are facilities for them. We need to make sure water is there. So also look at the other side of it. One person is working hard, struggling to pay. The rest says, you are Tanana, Kanjo is Vanakito. Let me stay there for 5 years, 10 years without paying. Justice goes both ways, Chair. And so I'll leave it at that. There's some 4 active pending court cases. There's a case, Republic versus Chief Officer, and others ex parte, Elijah Atembe, I think it's the same one, Atembe. There's Chege Maura and 2 others versus Nairobi City County. And then there's East ELC E040 of 2025. So those are still going on. Chair, let me leave it at that.
Thank you. Before I ask a question, I will give Senator Kathy a chance and the members a chance to clarify whatever they need to clarify from the response. Thank you, Chair, and I want to have a first bite because I have another meeting to go to. I just wanted, what Governor says makes sense in terms of responsibilities of tenants. The key issue in my petition was one, and I hope the committee can investigate this,
whether these evictions happened before or after the court order. It's something that this committee needs to find out. Two, these are human beings. That's where I began, with human rights, some of them grown in these homes. Whether there is any opportunity to actually settle these matters so that if they are to pay their arrears, whether there is opportunity for them to get housing. Three, the Lanaola case actually gave guidance around evictions. The evictions are supposed to be done in a manner that actually respects human rights. So where we breach those rights, however much somebody has breached, I don't think breaking a door, I don't think breaking their properties is allowed in law. So my key question is, what is happening as governor? What is happening, because these petitioners have, these tenants have come, meaning they're in distress in some way or other. What is Nairobi County doing about that? I hope that the committee can actually focus on this and help us.
Okay, thank you, Senator Kapi. I'll give the members a chance. I see the Senator from Nairobi, Senator Edwin Sifuna, has walked in. You can come on record. He's a friend of the committee and Senator of Nairobi County.
Thank you, Chair. Apologies, I came in late. My name is Edwin Sifuna, Senator Nairobi. I'm a friend of the committee.
Senator Asige, you'll have a bite of the cherry. Then Senator Mutata, if you have any query. And then Senator Manzo, and I'll be the last one. Then Governor, you note all the questions so that you give all the answers together, and we'll give MATIANG'I a chance.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate the response from the Governor. To add on to what Senator Muma has also commented, I just wanted to understand, or rather have the Governor confirm when these evictions were done, and vis-a-vis the court order that was given on the 4th in May, because the petitioner who is here to represent the rest, Mark, who is in the room, speaks of his eviction happening in June, when the court order we have here on record as being in May. That's the first question. Second question is what the Governor has said about if there were human rights that were violated in terms of how people were evicted, loss and damage of property, so on and so forth, what has been described by our petitioner. He has said if that has happened, he apologizes as the Governor of Nairobi County. However, Chair, I think that there needs to be more than an apology, because an apology will not bring back any of these items or support or in terms of the injury that has been caused to the tenants. So I wanted to these human rights violations and the loss of property and the damage and loss of property, whether monetary or otherwise. And my question as well to Mark, the Governor has claimed that there's a Mr. Elijah that is assigned to your unit. I wanted to understand if that is correct according to you. And number two, if indeed this Mr. Elijah has been receiving the notifications from the county in terms of rent arrears and so on and so forth. And then also, you can add for me, Mark, by confirming how long have you been in that unit? Thank you.
Senator Mutata.
No, nothing to ask.
Thank you. Senator Manzo.
Yes, Governor, you are very much aware of this area. I'm aware of our family which lives there. I knew them in the 80s, in the 90s when we were in high school. The two parents died, so the children remained in the house, and then they didn't seem to have a better life, you know. And even one of the sisters who used to help them passed away. And I'm now talking of the socials, because you said these are like social responsibilities. Bearing in mind that the person you communicate with could be dead. I don't know whether there is a way you update who are we dealing with now, because these are families who have lived there for long. Now those children are out on the streets, and they were part of the reason Senator Muma and I, who happened to have known their parents, got very concerned, on this particular one. So how do you deal with that, so that such vulnerable people feel taken care of by the county? Because they were your neighbor, they feel very much that you are in office, you still remember them, and you're not likely to do this sort of thing to them. They can't access you. So I thought there is a way you need to upgrade the person you serve the notices, because if the person you have the number or you have the address is no more, it means you are sending messages probably to a person whose telephone now has been changed to another person. You know what Safaricom is doing, and therefore there is total breakdown of communication. And I thought your officer in charge of that would have been more humane by having a working party review the situation before the worst happens to these people, so that they are very much aware. Even if they are going to do a rally or look for the MP to pay for their rent, they need to seek help. Because once you throw them in the streets and their things are stolen, it leaves us with a very difficult situation, because we've got to help them as people who sort of know them, to make sure they have food or something for days as we follow this thing. And again also,
Which numbers is that?
I think the Nimbos, Onimbo.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
There are areas of 915,000.
I would expect, because their mother passed away a long time ago and their dad passed away a long time ago. So
Utusaidia tuwalipie hiyo.
So then there is at least in your government, that issue element of social, I thought it should come out, so that there is a social protector.